Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. I also appreciate you guys being here when I go live. Sometimes I go really live late at night. We just had the State of the Union address with the president, and it was a pretty good speech. I'm going to talk about that, but there's some more pressing news within the black community, and I wanted to address this. Texas authorities investigated after a black man was found hanging in the same jail as Sandra Black died. Today, February the 5th, the Texas Rangers and the Texas Rangers Commissioner, the jail standard investigation after a suicide. They're saying that he killed himself. I don't know how true this is. Suicide attempt in Wallace County Jail. Boy, I love Texas, but this is part of Texas that's very questionable. The Texas, it was just Wallace County is off of 190 as you're almost about to enter into Houston. So shout out to Phil Scott because I know he's going to do some deep investigating on this, but I'm just going to share from my perspective. This is the same jail. Thank you for chiming in. For those who are coming in, thank you for the thumbs up and the likes and the share. It means a lot to me. The same jail where Sandra Black, who was 28 years old, was found dead. This gentleman's name was Evan Linden Park. He was 34 years old. He was found hung in the same jail as Sandra Black 4 years ago, prior to the guard discovering his body in the early mornings on January the 25th. Now, the news station KHOU 11 reported this story. Parks, who was booked on January the 10th for murder and assault, was rushed to the hospital, but he died of injuries 2 days later, January the 27th. Okay. Under the discovery of this investigation, the inmate was rushed to the hospital in Houston where he was alive and being treated for his injuries. But Wallace County Sheriff said later on he had died. Well, at the request of Wallace County Sheriff Department, the FBI and the Texas Rangers have asked to take a lead investigation surrounding the attempt of a suicide. Again, of a suicide of an African American male who was killed and was hung in his jail cell. Let's not get this twisted. At this time, there is no information to show any prior guidelines where it was not followed by the jail staff department added. So they're saying that at the time, from their reports that were written and given to them, and well, don't worry, we don't see anything that was hanky-panky, but we know that's a lie. And they basically are saying that this man was in the same jail cell. The Atlanta Star Black is what I'm reading. Let me tell you something, black people. If we are going to live in a country where we are supposed to have the same freedoms and rights and liberties as everyone else, we cannot take stories like this lightly anymore. We cannot take stories like this where we're not sitting together at a table, putting our political differences aside, putting our party differences aside, and really sitting back and saying enough is enough. If you are in Houston and you get this message, I know Phil Scott's going to be on this story if he has a story like white on rice. Y'all need to come to a rally and go down and walk to Wallace County and say enough is enough. Because an investigation is one thing, but a human, a saturation of people that are being abused and taken advantage of in the prison systems is not acceptable. And even if we do have a new thing called the First Act under President Trump, which talks about prison reform when prisoners leave the prison cell, what about when prisoners go into the prison cell? We are still being targeted. We're still monetized prison goods. And we as a community of people need to wake up on that fact. But even if we're conscious of it, the problem is that we're not united in front of the media. We're rallying together like we saw Dr. King in marching. We're not rallying together like we saw with Malcolm X. We don't see that unified front of our own people regarding issues. A press conference needs to be put in place by the people, not the parents and the attorneys that are be up there. It needs to come from the people in the community that are talking about unsafe situations in that county. Because the more of you that speak up, the more of you have an opportunity to see something come out of it that will better our community. But it's more that we need to start doing more videos of us, uniting on this issue. I want to pivot to the State of the Union address. For those who don't know me, my name is Shirley Husar, and you are watching Shirley's World. Make sure you like and share this video because it is important that we discuss issues in the community. On my YouTube video, I talk more about African American people and Black culture and where does the administration stand and how it affects us. Tonight, I'm going to talk about two things. One is the State of the Union address. Two, typhus and the rats that are eating downtown LA Black people. So if you want to hear about rats eating Black people, I'm going to talk about that. If you want to hear Blacks getting dying in tents, talk about that. That is not making the news, and that is what I want to share with you today. You heard the State of the Union address where President Trump addressed many issues. One is innovation, American first. He also talked about the border wall. He talked about prison reform. It was wonderful to see Alice Walker, who was freed. But there's other African Americans who are under the same type of situation where just the judicial system did not have the proper information, and they also have been held in long time frames. We need to make sure that we still stick for that and get that taken care of and get that out there. There was a brother named Matthew who was one of the first African Americans to be able to be, the first act. That first act bill that passed, that became law, is prevalent and wonderful. And I think under this administration, I am so glad to have that in place. But as I stated before, everybody Black is not in prison. Everybody Black is not in jail. And everybody Black is not homeless. There's many African Americans who are for business and jobs and opportunity. There's many African American families who are out there who want to talk about men and women, not emasculated Black men and the gay and lesbian transgender movement. African American people get together and start talking more about a family is very bad. Listen to me. There's a new Black plague. Listen to me. There's a new Black plague downtown LA called, the Black plague is called typhus. Look this up. There is a typhus movement in this country that is plaguing California. It's a flea that is hopping on rats that are coming on the people. The downtown LA, there was an attorney who basically was on the news saying that this typhus, this flea that was during the Black Plague era, that's a Black Plague, got into her, and she was diagnosed in November from her doctors. The homeless people downtown in LA are tragic. They're tragic. And many people say, well, we got homeless people too. Yeah, but you don't have them to the degree that we have rats who are eating the Blacks downtown LA. We're down to 6% Black people. And many of you African American people are not waking up to the fact that your people are dying on the streets, but yet you support illegal immigrants that are not helping our country. President Trump talked about America first, but unfortunately, when you're in California, that doesn't apply because they are just devastating us with prices. High gas, high rents, high living, high cost of food, and we have not seen any of the benefits under this administration, even though the delegation of the Republican Party 100% for Trump, that 100% unfortunately benefits are not coming towards us, and we're dealing with that. So those who are watching this video, make sure you pray for California because California is a hot mess. Many of the African Americans right now can't even get jobs. There's people who basically will say they will not hire a Black person. They discriminate against us. They ostracize against us, and they basically pivot off of our pain and say, well, I'm just like the Black person, but they're not going to be helping the Black Americans. So I know that there's many of you guys who agree with me and hear the same thing that I'm saying. It's old. It gets old and it gets tired. Hey, Brenda, thank you so much for coming in. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, saying I look beautiful this evening. I appreciate that. All those kind words really mean a lot. What else I wanted to talk about? President Trump talked about Venezuela. Yes, honey, he talked about socialism. I thought that was really interesting. It's interesting how also the camera zoomed in on Bernie Sanders. Hey, Bernie Sanders, why don't you take your ass and go over to Venezuela, and why don't you tell Venezuela that you want that to be in America, right? We don't want to be like Venezuela. If you guys see how Venezuela is, they are disrupted, they are disorganized, and they are a hot mess. Socialism does not work, people. Socialism, where one man works to cover everybody else, is not a system that we're in. We're in a system of capitalism and democracy, and we talk about the Constitution and the union for which we stand. If we have people in this country who want to continue to impose government programs and want to continue to impose a leadership of government and other people's money who work hard for those who want to sit on their ass, that is not going to fly. That's not going to fly, Bernie Sanders and all you specialized Cortez socialist people. And President Trump made that very clear that this country is a capitalist country and not a socialist country. I can also talk oil and innovation. Now, I think that's wonderful, but again, that doesn't affect us so much in California because the gas in California is 380. There is 370, and on my Facebook page, people were telling me in Texas is 170, 180, Colorado's $2. I mean, other parts of the country, gas is cheap, but in state of California, no, they're using this as a template for the socialist movement of the Democrat Party. Pelosi, Camilla want to be black hairs, that she wants to be black, but as you know, the black community have let her know she's not accepted. She never was given a black card, so she can't get one rejected. So she needs to get that fake one she made down at JoJo's on 3rd and Town and let her know that card ain't no good. It ain't got the real thing on it. It ain't got the real symbol. It's not the real ID, but the fake black card. We don't want her on our team. All those people are from California: Karen Bass, Ridley Thomas, Maxine Waters, who don't care a damn about black and African American people in this country. They were the ones that are supposing imposing socialism and saying that as African American we're always needy. African American people in this country, the children of descendants of slaves, the DLS people, have always worked hard. We've built this country. This country was built on the backs of black people. We are the foundation and the blood of this ground. But yet in this country, we have black leaders who wear white like if they're Klansmen sitting at the State of the Union address, hello, and one emasculated black congressman or senator or what the hell he was, only black man sitting there with all white on like them women. What the hell's wrong with that Negro? Tell him to grow some balls and put that white suit off and be a real man and stand for who he is. He can't do that. He got to look like the women with his hands all folded. All that is buffoonery. It's buffoonery because they're not trying to do anything to embetter the culture of the American people other than stand and fight for a wall of people who do not deserve the same rights and benefits as you. Because we are dealing with the border like you won't believe. These people coming here and they're getting money and they're getting housing, and basically they are living the 2 and 3 bedrooms in the garage, 2 and 3 bedrooms in the kitchen, 2 bedrooms in the living room. They rent by the room. Listen to me. Stay with me. Put the thumbs up. They rent where they live by rooms in California. Okay. So when he talks about health and all these things in California, they have rewrote the whole script, and we don't get the benefit of that script. Somebody else is, and you are going to be affected by it by the world because of the mass incarceration of us here in America. We're incarcerated in our own state because basically they're pushing us out on the street while they're allowing other people to come here, and we cannot handle the land mass of the invasion upon this country. I did appreciate the tariffs, meaning that they always want to tax us for our money and for our trades and goods worldwide. And as the federal level, it is their job to protect our well-being and our investment in America. And he said, if you put a tariff on us, we're going to put a tariff on you of the same render. I applauded Mr. Trump for that because the tariffs are huge. Many of you guys don't get that. The tariffs are huge in this country. And many people come here, they take advantage of us, and they are basically benefiting off of everything, and we sit back and we suck up and we pander to them. No more pandering and no more tariffs that are not justified and treated the same. So basically, it's about reciprocity. Those who are watching this video from other parts of the world, with this administration, you get what you get. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, and I really commend Mr. Trump for that. NAFTA is being replaced with USMCA, which is the U.S., Mexico, and Canada alliance that basically they've put together. Now, you have to understand, in America, we don't have the infrastructure like we did back in the day in Chicago and Detroit, where we industrial movement of people and industrial opportunity that we had with jobs that we did. Many of the manufactories were torn down and taken out with all these bad trade deals that we gave to China under previous administrations. This administration wants to put America first, and those jobs are coming back. Those industries are being rebuilt and being restructured by our own people. If anything, Mr. Trump could have done for me, as many of us know, we talk to creditors across the world, and I have an issue with when I want to check with my credit or I want to pay a bill. I'm still talking with the Philippine Islands. I'm still talking with people in India, and I would like to talk to an American person. If there was something regarding that, I would ask if Mr. Trump could basically get American people to answer my phone. I never remember ever voting, and someone can let me know this in the chat room. I don't ever remember voting to let someone have my social security number. And basically, when I call about my credit score, that I've got to talk to somebody out of the country. I just believe that we give too much power to people out of the country with our personal information that none of us voted for that. If somebody can make some comments out there, I appreciate it. Rocket Man, Rocky Matrix is out there, said the State of the Union went okay. I thought it was well. I think it was well strategized. I think it was broken down. He had some highs and some lows. Of course, the wall is wearing, I believe, a little bit on him and on everybody else, because I believe that he should have stayed with the wall at the beginning of his administration versus coming in at the middle, now really trying to enforce it. When now the Democrats have gained some type of momentum. They had a great election year. They had a lot of voter fraud, and that's how they won, to me. They had Stacey Abrams, who made her address afterwards, who I didn't support at all, because she talked about illegal immigrants in cages. Well, honey, boo-boo, someone get this video over to Stacey Abrams, whatever her name is, and let her know that African Americans are in cages downtown LA. So those same people that you want to fight for are the same people that are pushing us out and putting us in cages. There are Black people who are homeless, being ate by rats, in cages. And if you don't believe me, then go ahead and watch some of my YouTube videos. Subscribe. Please subscribe if you watch this video. Put the thumbs ups and likes. And I want you to watch the cages of Black people downtown who are homeless, the mentally ill. That was not addressed. I know he addressed the situation with cancer within the community. I thought that was really good, especially with young children. Of course, any element of disease of that nature is definitely, how can you fight against it? We want all of us to be healthy and have long life, and unfortunately that is a disease that's taken many of our family members. We've all been personally affected. I have been personally affected by it with other family members, and praise God, we're healthy and we're able to live to try to rectify it and find some type of cure. But in saying that, I would have liked to see money set aside for the mentally ill. That has been laws that have been twisted to not deal with the mentally ill in this country. For I believe that is one of the biggest problems within the homeless community, is that of whites, Blacks, and other people in this country, is the mentally ill. And if we don't deal with that's going to get worse, because those same people can't be housed, they can't acclimate back into the system, and they can't work within society, a contribution, which many of them used to that way. But we sat back and we've allowed immigration to come in, and now we have a mass layer of people, listen to me, a mass layer of people that are coming in, and we just have too many people. We have too many people on the freeway. Our freeways are inundated in flood, and many of these people are being able to be subsidized through high taxes and gas. Many businesses are moving out of California and have major taxes that are being imposed upon them. Some of them are being sued. Listen, being sued for leaving the state, because the state of California does not like the fact that companies are leaving because they're not able to get that tax revenue to subsidize for the illegals and the immigrants and all these people who have these illegitimate children and children that weren't there and that were brought from other countries who are not wanted or accepted. I'm sorry. You got kids. We got Black kids and Black families and elderly people mentally ill. We're going to put you first. It's just too much priorities that are not priorities, that should not be priorities. But unfortunately, when we talk about immigrants and the border, we don't talk about the people behind the wall, and we don't talk about the leaders who are in this state, who are disruptive and who are destroying our country. And that's Nancy Pelosi, and that also is Kim Miller, wannabe Black Harris, as you guys know. Here we go. Mike says the state of California is bankrolling immigrants. Absolutely. I talked about that bankrolling immigrant issue with Wells Fargo giving $125 billion towards surplus to empower their communities with jobs, opportunity, and housing. They're leveraging and they're disrupting our infrastructure. So they're leveraging opportunities for them, which disrupts our infrastructure for American and for African American, even pushes you what? Further back. So until you wake up and understand that, my people, you don't get it. But these are the elected officials that you voted for. These are the people that you stand behind, that think are going to fight in your best interest. And they tell you the way you move forward is by subsidies. And I'm telling you the way you move forward is by endurance and perseverance. Your perseverance to want to do better by not only education but jobs, but staying focused and basically fulfilling whatever you need to fulfill, whatever you need to stand on. Do that. Do not be disrupted and do not let your mind wander. Do not go to and fro, but know what you want and shoot for it. And sometimes that means you turn social media off and you turn off the news and you get all the negative people out of your head and the tick followers. And get those people gone. They don't add value. But as you know, there's disruption by people who are leveraging and giving opportunity off of the rights of African American people. When we talk about the citizen rights that President Trump talked about, they basically retwisted those laws. Where were the black people then? We're not rising up. Just like we should be rising up regarding this man who was hung in his prison. This is a disruption towards our country, and it's a disruption towards us as a people that we are not standing united regarding these tragedies that continue to be repetitive in our community. Talking about it is not enough because faith without works is dead. You have to show some now form of action, and not some physical action, but some united front numbers action. Numbers, money, and power is what moves the money. America, let me say it again. Money, power, and numbers is what moves America. And if we don't have the money to be able to come up with the attorneys like other cultures do because they're able to leverage and have a foundation security by this country, then as African Americans, we need to unite and come to some kind of front, especially those in the Black conscious community, because by doing that and showing these rallies, we should do this. We should show a American Skid Row Live unity. I would think so. The Democrats are obscene and illegal immigrants. You know, I have done live YouTube videos regarding the illegal immigrants. I'm gonna be honest with you. There is some type of blockage that goes on when I live feed from downtown LA. So I don't know what's going on, but when I try to live feed, especially in the heart of those areas, my footage doesn't work. I have to record it and then post it later. They know if I live feed, I would get more of a reaction. Now, when I was able to live feed showing those illegal immigrants selling on the street, that video went viral and almost got 1 million views on Facebook. So then I went back down and tried to do it again. My phone wouldn't go live feed. It was like so they're not being honest and true with you. They're working with underground tech people to make sure they don't have the same waves of lines flowing. It might be different on somebody else's phone. Maybe if enough of us went down there, I would be willing to do that. If anybody want to do that, Republican, reprisal, if you want to come, DM me. Anybody want to go with me down to Skid Row and we can all live feed and see who can get a feed through and then chime all your channel through one of your phones, because I tell you, when I go down there, I'm skeptical now because I'm questionable because, of course, you know, the fleas are hopping. They are a-popping onto people, and people are getting typhus, and soon we might become immune to it. They might be developing an immunity against us as a country. Then what will we do? Because right now they can tell people we can give you shots and something for it, but what happens when that typhus starts to pop off in those communities and you can't do it? So you say you're live in New York. Oh, I appreciate that. But, you know, if you can show live feed of the homelessness in New York and let me know and show it on your Facebook, I'll even share it on my channel if you want, and we can discuss that. I would be honored to do that because I think we're not seeing enough of the aftermath of Americans being pushed out. We keep hearing about the illegal immigrants and their babies and the rape victims and all of that, but we're not talking about the disease that are going on the streets, in the community. And those same dogs that little Susie went downtown and got her Starbucks, and then she comes home and they take them over to your little dog park. And then what happens, that little dog park dog next to Susie and Janet has her dog, and they play together, and now your dog has typhus, that little Susie dog put on your dog, and that's now on you. So you guys think this is a joke? It's not a joke. Rats are dead people aren't a joke. Feeling disease is not a joke. So no matter what was stated tonight, it'll all mean nothing if a new plague is arise and it does not get eradicated. We do not deal with it. We do not in general. We do not talk to health and sanity. We do not basically say there's a state of an emergency and we might have to see California quarantine. We need to see California quarantine, and y'all don't believe me. And you say it's so true. Typhus is sooner. The plagues, help us, Jesus. Well, it said in the last days. My play sister said, I was talking about this thing. She said, girl, you know what the Bible said. We all know what the Bible said in the last days. There'll be plagues. We're in the last days. We're in the last days, and we talked about plagues. It's horrible. Going back to the State of the Union address, President Trump also talked about energy, the fact that we have energy innovation and the energy job of us being the one that other countries are coming to, and we're benefiting as a countrymen, and our gas price is supposed to be lower. Well, gas in California is $3.89. Gas in Texas is $1.70. So we're being used as a template to the socialist agenda and the liberal agenda of the Democrats and Nancy Pelosi. And her nephew, Gavin Newsom, is leading the charge. So many of you are out there in other states, you're being okay. But you don't understand the African Americans who are at 6% and counting and becoming less of are being truly affected by it. And now citizens in California are being disrupted by the plagues that are coming on. See, you're correct. Victor said what's really sick is NWO's top elite rigs our system, okay? And Donald Trump 45 has been working every day to fix all these loopholes. Many trillions of dollars are stolen. Victor, where are you located? He said the gas is $1.84, so $1.84. And you're absolutely right. So, in one hand, yes, there's corrections made in the Midwest and construction innovation for America. And we talked about jobs and things coming back, trade and the tariffs. But on the other hand, you're in Missouri. Okay, so you're in Missouri and the gas is $1.84. You make me sick. You make me sick. I'm kidding, but I am so jealous of you. We are at 189. No, we're at 489. No, excuse me, 389, Jesus. But I've seen it up to 518. So we're actually teeter-tottering a little bit below $4 a gallon here because the tax in California is to subsidize for all the floodgation of illegal immigrants coming in here. But going back to talking about Trump trying to fix the system and the loopholes, in some instance, he's doing that. On the other instance, we're not feeling it in California. So I'm not going to lie to you and say how excited I am about this administration. I'm excited about what the country is going through and its awakening. I am excited about that. I'm excited that Black people are starting to become more conservative. And all these years of me fighting, there's more of a Black front in the conservative movement. I'm grateful for the millennials that can read and do their own investigation versus just take whatever's handed to them, like my stupid generation is. There's still a lot of those people who are in their 40s and moving towards 50s who just, hey, they're stupid. They're stupid people. Okay, the vast majority of Black folks are still blind and dumb as sheep. Oh, that's true too. That's a good point. A lot of them are dumb and stupid because they just are full of hatred of, we just hate Trump. He's a racist. They aren't people of an intellect status that you would ask literally conscious questions. So for many of you might watch me, I would ask you, if you like Kamala Harris, what legislation has she proposed on the table that embittered your life? Who that you know of speaks of her about a legislation that helped the Black community? There's none. Who do you know that speaks of her legislation really changed the face of California and the rest of the country? Because there's none. The reason why is because this lady has been senator less than a year or two, and all they do is hop on one to another. That's how California legislators, when they run, Democrats do in this state. They get a little time under their belt and they run somewhere else. They get a little time under their belt and they go somewhere else. She's nothing but a train hopper. So now she's hopping off of being the senator and she's now going to run as a presidential candidate. That's so-called Black person. This is what I'm talking about. Why are Black people dumb? That you say, brother and sisters who are out here who just said online, why you said they're dumb? I'm gonna tell you why a lot of them are dumb. Because if you were to sit down and try to have an intellectual conversation about politics, not based on race or hatred or a personal issue, based on policy and legislation, try to do that. It won't work. If you can talk to someone based on policy and legislation, then you have a sensible conversation. But in most cases, you're not going to be based on policy and legislation. What you're going to be based upon is emotion and an eradication of personalities and energy that we're always putting out on people with attitudes and, well, he's just a racist. I don't like him. And you stupid. You da 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 da. And they pivot to a personal approach. Forget the personal and tell me policies that are in place right now that you know that have been better for black people. Now, every black person's not in jail. Every black person's not homeless. Every black person's not serving time in mass incarceration. But I will tell you, the first act is a piece of legislation that did get through as a bipartisan piece of legislation that is doing good for black people. Matter of fact, there was a young man whose name was Matthew that was at the State of the U.S., and I commend Mr. Trump for having him there. Miss Alice Walker was there. And as you know, that has to do with Kim Kardashian pleading to the president, and she asked him, can you help this woman? And he did. And he added some of the laws that basically she was indicted for into, I believe, the first bill that we see now today in place. But when we talk about black people, I don't want us to be just known for mass incarceration. We're innovators. We are superstars. We are people who have added great things to this country as descendants of slaves. We are DOSs. We are descendants of slaves, unlike Roland Martin, who is cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. Hey, Roland, how you going to go for CNN, get fired, go to TV One, get fired? Now you on YouTube. You going to get fired on YouTube, Roland? Because now you playing with YouTubers. You're going after Yvette Cornell. You were trying to go after my boy Anthony Brian Logan when he was on your show. So you quick to jump a train wagon things that you want to hang around with the YouTubers. You getting all these numbers because you got somebody doing a lot of SEO work for you, because I don't believe all them black people following you. Roland, you need to stop perpetrating. You perpetrating, bro. Especially if they're supporting Camilla want to be Black Harris. You need to stop. You need to stop. I'm just too done with that. Okay, Republicans said Camilla was the top cop lockup on blacks in California. Okay? And she's Indian, right? She's Indian and her father's Jamaican. This is so true. I've said this before on previous shows. And on Phil and Advice has a great breakdown of that. Yvette Cornell, Breaking Brown, has a great breakdown of that. So I'm not going to do shows on Camilla Harris. But I will tell you from my perspective, which they don't have, neither one of those people, Yvette Cornell or Phil from Advice, live in the state under her regime. I do. And I will tell you, it is detrimental to African American living under the leadership of Camilla wannabe Black Harris. When you've got 6% and blacks being ate up by roaches. When you have 6% and Mexicans who will say to your face, we don't hire black people because you don't speak Spanish. You need to speak Spanish with their broken English ass. And their children who they should have kept their legs closed and never had in the first place. Yeah, I went ahead and I want the American people in the middle class and middle class rich to pay for your children. And it's getting old people. And people are moving out of state. And as they move out, and those who stay here because they have no choice, because they have jobs and pensions, up and move out of the state, like many of y'all said, you should just move. Well, what if you got a vested pension of 10 years or 15 years and you got 2 or 5 years to go? You can't move like that. People can't move like that. It ain't that easy like you think it is. Many people don't want to stay in California, but they have no choice. They got to endure the fight because of the years that they put in when it was decent and normal. Well, we're not there anymore. So I just want to say to you, pray for the people in California. Pray for the African Americans who are enduring a lot of pain right now in California, with all the injustice and the prejudice and the bias movement of the progressive left. They're just horrible people. And that is all because of Camilla wannabe Black Harris. And that's all because of Maxine Waters, whose district is in I think 26% Latina. Where are the black people in her district? They're not there anymore. Karen Bass. Horrible. Ridley Thomas. Horrible. I've seen him at the city council meetings downtown LA, voted to allow $10 million to go towards illegal immigrants' attorneys to fight for their best interest. $10 million. Where was the $10 million allocated to fight for injustice for African Americans who are in mass incarceration? And you're so pro-black, why didn't you try to do that? But no, you voted for, and this was in 2015. Look the story up. $10 million allocated towards the attorneys to help the illegal immigrants in the state to fight for their best interest for the state and against the federal government. They're using your tax dollars, and you think that's normal? You think that's a good American, a better American? But no, you black people in the Midwest and back east and white people, you back and you allow these people to run this country and you vote and they leverage against you. And in the end, your grandchildren and your children's children are going to be affected by it. And the reason they're affected by it because of the bad legislation and the bad rulings of laws that have been put in place, that are in place today and are being placed tomorrow because you didn't speak up when you had a chance to do that. That needs to end. What else happened with the State of the Union address? Willie Brown. I ain't thinking about Willie Brown. Willie Brown bragging about he has sex with Camille Harris. That's the least of our worries. I think for me, they all sleep with each other. I don't care about that. I don't care to back the shit. I tell you in fact, I just don't like when you perpetrate to be black. I don't like you pandering after black pain so that you can get points on the Richter scale. Pandering after black pain, let me say it again, so that you can get points on the Richter scale. That shit gets old. That gets old. Thank you for the thumbs up and the likes and the shares. It really means a lot to me because that gets old. What I really care about is legislation. Because none of y'all have yet told me, can somebody put in that chat room tell me doggone it what kind of legislation she done put in to help us or help anybody else? She hasn't. She's in there because she's a Penny Western political hopper. Hopped from one train to another and just became a senator and didn't do nothing to better her life as a senator other than act like a buffoonery when it came to the Supreme Court justice to seem like she had it all together. This is all an illusion, but you're put there in the best interest of the people of the state of California. They never talk about their state. Do you notice once they get in there, they pivot and start talking about their own social just cause issues? That's because the American people don't hold elected officials accountable. That's why Urban Game Changer was created. Go to urbangamechangers.com, make a donation. It really makes a world of a difference because we're getting ready to launch more information about the descendants of slaves and the opportunity to understand if you are descendants of slaves, what should you be getting of slave. Many of you have heard different stories from it. You'll hear from our perspective. One of the best is, as you know, we have Phil Scott, the slave. Yvette Cornell is a master of it, and many of us who can tell our perspectives of it. But there are people who are benefiting off the Constitution that were put in place not for them but for us, and for some reason we've allowed other people to run on our bandwagon like Camilla Wannabe Black Harris, who don't care about black legislation. Like you said, go to Phil from the Advice Show, go to Phil Scott, and you'll learn more about her. I'm not going to go into what she has not done or what she's done wrong. I just want you to realize, being a person who live in the state where this lady resides and rules over, we are at war with our own people, and we're hurting and we're crying. On the phone the other night, I was crying. I'm not going to talk too much about this story. But there are rats eating black people, and the elderly black people can't get housing because the refugees and the immigrants are buying up properties above market value. Listen, they're buying property above market value, these immigrants, so that they can house illegal immigrants and they can house refugees. And the signs are on the buildings. And so when African Americans come with their voucher, we're being pushed out of the Section 8 system. We're being pushed out of the WIC system and even the Social Security. Our Social Security checks don't go nowhere. So you got black people living in tents. Thank you, Deborah B, saying you're correct. Black people living in tents because they cannot subsidize the cost difference that it takes to live in a state. The foolishness, this is true, Republic, Black Caucus look like they're full. Well, the Black Caucus don't care about black people. The Black Caucus is about this unification. That's why Camilla Harris is part of the head of that establishment that has worked against us. Look up Omarosa Buffoonery. If you want to learn about the Black Caucus, I did a really deep in-depth video on, or look at Black Caucus on my YouTube channel and watch the video of Omarosa Buffoonery. And I basically break down the Black Caucus, the Urban League, and all these black organizations who don't really represent black people. And what is black? I don't know what the hell that means. What is African American? Because unless you are a descendant of slaves, you can trace your genealogy, not your DNA. Don't tell me you got African in you that makes you black. Maybe it does. But when you can trace your genealogy, you can go back like I have and found ancestors before the emancipation. I can go back to 1854, where my grandfather was registered and it's on a register, and I was able to see my great great grandfather and my grandfather's names all underneath there. That was my proof and other things that I have of me being a descendant of slaves. Those slaves that have proven since 1619, where they came on that ship, 20 men came to Monroe, Virginia, as commodity and trades and goods. Now, I know you heard me say this over and over, and it may sound redundant, but this redundancy is important because it solidifies the importance of us in this country, because many people have come 50, 100, 20, 10 years ago, and they want the same rights and benefits as the people who pour their blood and sweat into this ground that you walk upon. And that's where many are just done with it. We don't support that. We don't support the conservative movements of these people who are legislators who have come into office. You've got people like Mia Love, who's Haitian. She's not a descendant of slaves, and then she's all of a sudden going to play the black racist card when she's not an elected official anymore. Well, boo-boo, you never were for black people. You got in there used with some nice piece of chocolate, standing behind the president. That's how I looked at you, because you never reached out to people like me and other Americans who have been conservatives for a long time. Mia Love showed no love to the black community, so she didn't get no love from me either. When you look at Omarosa, you saw that was a hot buffoonery mess. Anybody who's going to tape the president prior to his election is a little cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. So, all the elevators go on different levels with that one. So I'm a pivot from that one. And then you got, you have the girl who's out there, Candace Owens. She's not a descendant of slaves. And people say, well, so what? So what? And I can't say, well, so what after 400 years? 400 years adds value to the table. Those are the people that should be with the president talking about the history, the contribution, and the pain and anguish. The people who are in the community on the streets, those are the people that should have the ear of the president. Not these people who got chicken dinners and that were paid and pandered through white organizations that they're going to turn the point in USA. Well, again, we need to sit at the table and put our differences aside and start talking about the real issue, which is the black community. When you can do that for me, you will get a different tone from this voice. But until you do that for me, you're not going to get a different tone, Brandon Tatum. And you can, I'm glad you got a lot of views. I'm glad you were able to watch other people's videos and regurgitate them in your own words. Because what you're saying ain't nobody done. It's not nothing new under the sun. So you don't get no cookie points from me. I've been doing this a long time, looking at my old videos. Hey, Pam. I love you, Pam. Pam came on in. You ain't going to get no cookie jars from me. Why don't you take your ass and stop trying to pick fights? Y'all picking fights online. Why don't you stop picking fights online and start getting on the street and talking about the homeless black people being ate with rats? Why don't you talk about the mental illness in this country? Why don't you talk about the homelessness of the black community and stop talking about the Democrats? Well, what about the people? Because that's why Urban Game Changers was created, to hold elected officials accountable as well as yourself. If there's no self-accountability, listen to me, get the thumbs up and share this video, and subscribe if you're not a subscriber to this video, because then it'll alert you. Ding, Shirley's on, because Shirley can go on at any time and maybe not come on. It just depends on if I can have the time to do it. But listen to me. If you're not conscious to what is happening in your life right now, in your community right now, you could be hit with these plagues, with the Black Plague, or you could be one of them people getting hung in the next cell or in the same cell as Sandra Blatch. Knowing that when you go through Waller County, ding, 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 that's a rectified, because I'm in Texas too. When I come out and visit, when I drive down that 190, I need to know I'm in Waller County. I need to be conscious, because I know that they got some issues with black people. So I hope that the investigation gets pushed through, and I hope that Phil, something needs to be done. Hey, Phil, Scott, you need to do a talk in the rally. You need to be the fight. Maybe you, some member or something, should be the fight for the voice on this issue, because this has shut down what's being practiced, while we in jail and saying that hung and commit suicide to ourselves. That goal. Chris says America must shut down illegal immigration. And I am illegal immigration. Let me clarify, the immigration and welfare system, and put African Americans to work. Absolutely. Look, go there too. If I can go to Canada and get off the free stuff, I want to go there too. I truly support what Rand Paul and Ron Paul stated. Ron Paul said, don't worry about the wall, just cut their benefits off. That's a libertarian. Cut their benefits off. If you cut all these benefits that go to everybody for free, then everybody for free wouldn't be getting it for free. Would have to wake up to the fact that if we come to America, we're going to have to pay our own bills. We ain't going to get subsidized. Ain't going to be no housing. Ain't going to be no Section 8. Ain't going to be no WICs. Ain't going to be no special car loans. Like Wells Fargo gave $125 billion to the Hispanic community. And I'm still appalled by that. And you black people ain't heard about that. You white people ain't heard about that. And they're leveraging against African American people in this country. All these leveraging moves that they're doing. But yet we're going to talk about the Democrats are evil. That's why I'm not playing that conservative card to that respect. You keep talking about Democrats are evil, Democrats are evil. Why don't you talk about the leveraging of opportunity upon a nation of people? Since you say you represent black people, Brandon Tatum, who regurgitate half the stuff I said and everybody else, Kiki Ring, and other people didn't say it for a long time in this game. Boo-boo, I support a lot of things you said, absolutely. But let's talk about the realism. Black people are hurting and dying of typhus. More of you black people on YouTube talking about the typhus plagues in the state of California that's coming to you. But maybe if enough of you Negroes wake up and one of you get typhus, you might wake up. People talking about write the president, write up president. These are great ideas. I have spoken to the president. I get calls from the White House. I was on a White House call last week. As a delegate, I'm a surrogate for the president of the United States for California. But even with my voice at the table, it's not. Three country. What have I told you before? It's money, power. It's money, power, and numbers. And even though if I've got the voice, I've got the opportunity, I don't have the numbers. So we need the numbers of people, all of us together, get in front of the camera, say these are the top things with black people. Number one, mass incarceration. We got you talking about that, but we want to talk about business and the leveraging against the black people on the name of the descendants of slaves. Stop leveraging against us. We just get tired of it. Stop taking laws and bylaws such we talk about the rights, the birther rights that are not birthing towards our best interests, but they're birthing towards somebody else. We need to talk about that. We need to talk about the leveraging that's done against us, but we don't. We need to talk about how people are coming here and they're getting all these benefits. And we need to build that wall because of that. We need to tell black people, stand united and build the damn wall and shut down these damn entertainers. D.L. Hughley and all the rest of them who are doing these talk shows and the morning talk show and the Breakfast Club and Roland Martin and all that bullshit. Someone need to shut those Negroes down and say, take your trifling ass down to L.A. and deal with the homelessness of your people. Take yourself down, and I need you to go and focus on the people who are getting killed by typhus, who are being found dead in tents. Because if you wake up to that, then maybe you people in America would understand exactly the pain. Thank you, Pam said exactly the pain of what we're going through. But being on there acting like you're all that, and you got your celebrity hair done, your makeup's flawless, you're looking all good, but out here struggling. And at any time, they're hire our young people. The teenagers, the youngest are still living at home. They can't buy houses. They can't get a job. They can't get an apartment. But in California, they rent by the room, $700, $1,100 per room. They rent by the room. How is the hell they're going to rent by the room? If we continue to rent by the room, how does that help us as individuals move forward in the adult world? They can't move forward. Those millennials can't move forward in California because they're stuck in a situation where they're not safe, and so they've got to stay with their own family. Look, if you can get out, Cali, contact me, DM me. I'm working with people in Texas. And we're getting a lot of black people acclimated in the South, where I'm connecting you with realtors in Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana. I can connect you with that. There's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of ways you can own a house and your payment ain't nothing but $500. The same amount you paying for a room in LA, I can get you to own a home house for. So even if you're on government assistance, honey, that's a federal check. You can take it anywhere you go. That could be a passport to get your sanity together. So I know many of you watch me might be on the system and ain't in the world. Don't be ashamed. Just get yourself together, boo-boo. Keep getting your check and have a strategy plan. Make 2019 the year for you to have an idea of where am I going and what can I do to better my life. Illegal immigrants are divisive, destructive, and thing to the Black community. Absolutely, Pam. And unless you live in a state like California, you don't get that. I find it very interesting that it moves past Texas and Arizona and comes to this crazy lunatic state. But we've got entertainers and we have elected officials who act as if they're celebrities, who walk around and people praise them and put their head down as an elected official. You ain't no celebrity. You ain't nobody. You are somebody if someone voted in that will be voted out tomorrow. And you abuse power, through earmarks and setting laws in place that are divisive and basically are pandering against the African American community and empowering illegal immigrants. Like I told you, they gave $10 million to the attorneys, okay, for the illegal immigrants in 2015. They gave $1.5 million in Stockton, California, up in Sacramento. They gave the gang members to keep the community safe. You look that up. All kind of cuckoo for Cocoa Pop laws that are pandering and working against Black people. Why didn't they give it to the Bloods and the Crips? Hell, you can give it to the Mexicans. Give that money to the Bloods and Crips. Make them take care of their own family members. They don't do that. But we keep talking about how the Blacks are announcing the lowest unemployment record. Well, that's great. That don't work in California. So when he does that, he's used that line a little bit too much for me. I love you, Mr. Trump, but come on now. Really, bro? You got to get out of this unemployment situation with Black people. We want to talk about entrepreneurship. We want to see legislation in place to help us, like you helped the Indians leverage. Listen to this. He helped the Indian tribes in 2017 leverage the land that they own to be able to pull off and basically partner with the Indians, the Native Americans. Look this up. The Native American tribes. It's some Native American tribes because I was trying to find where he helped them be able to leverage for their community. The Jewish community was elated as he announced again tonight as a State of the Union address about Jerusalem. They got to leverage, and God knows the Mexicans are leveraging. Where's the leverage for Black people? How are we leveraging right now in this country? Well, there's no leverage for Black people. So when we talk about the State of the Union address, yes, nationally in the Midwest, maybe some of you are doing well. Maybe you are able to get your jobs in place and more benefits. But in California, we are at war. There is a Black plague, and you need to go hashtag Black plague, hashtag typhus of Black people being ate by rats right now as we speak on the streets. Black people are found frozen in the snow on the streets. Black people are being hung, unreasonably being found hung in prisons. They're hanging us again. And yet all we're doing is talking. There's no legislation from Democrats. There's no legislation from Republicans, and all you little turning point people, you're not out there and you're not opposing legislation for Blacks. You're just anti-Democrat. Well, that doesn't impress me telling me you don't like the Democrats. I'm damn, because everybody know that. Democrats don't like us and we don't like them. It's the Hatfields and McCoys. Wake up. For those who want to do old school, look up Hatfields and McCoys. One tribe versus another tribe. That ain't nothing new. Tell me where we put our differences aside and we find reciprocity of a better source of reasoning. Because there's no reasoning in the actions that we're seeing right now within our community. And know many of us some of us who have bigger platforms, are not doing nothing. But other than ruttering on the mouth saying, damn, that person had 1,000 people watch them. They had 2,000. They had a 500,000 people watch them. Well, a lot of us give great numbers and don't get no numbers. But the bottom line, what we see is no action to our recourse of our voices being heard. Look, people, you got to wake up. We got to wake up. We've got to start thinking on some things. I've been talking to Phil. We're looking at putting some on the road events together, and I would hope that you would support Phil from the Advice Show. Support Yvette Cornell. Hear what she has to say. We all don't agree with each other 100%, but we do stand behind the descendants of slaves, and as African American people, that is what we decide upon. I do agree. Will says the unemployment at a record low. That is one action. That is one action. But it's not an action where I would say this is a long-term benefit because, unemployment goes up and goes down. But when you're talking about leveraging and a form of action will is two different things. For example, going back to the Native Americans and the tribes. If you're a tribe and someone says you have oil on your land and you now have a letter from the President of the United States giving you the right to pull the oil off your land, which a lot of them never could do before because they've been had the oil on that land, and you have a partisan agreement with the United States of America and your people are able to get money off of the land, off of the oil, for the duration of the oil pumped off of it, that is a form of leveraging that positions you financially, and it positions you in power-wise. You can get better attorneys, you can get a better house, you can get a better lifestyle, you can build a better tribe of people. Unemployment does not build a better tribe of people. It helps people on an individual area. We as African Americans need to stop thinking selfishly on an individual area and be happy on the individual areas that we are benefiting on. The individual areas are great, but the unified, they don't want to show us unified because we are a threat. They are afraid of us as we unify, but we have to unify. First Step Act is excellent. It has to do with prison reform and prisoners when they go in and come out and have an opportunity to reform back into the system. Thumbs up. Guess what? I'm not in prison. I'm not in jail. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a woman that believes in self-enterprise and free jobs. Well, yes, there's acts that affect all people in America. But what about something specifically allowing African American people to leverage the same way the Jews are doing by having Jerusalem be the head of their state capital? There are people who are being set free. There are people who are not being killed. There's a lot of leveraging the Jews were allocated that way. But we don't talk about the leveraging that we should want and that we should have in place. We've got other people that are getting the leveraging. So our black men are being emasculated. Our black women are becoming emasculated. We have sit back and not see black men with black women. I still have issues with the Jesus people with Trump. All those ministers that sit back and love President Trump, where is your wife at? That's all I'm saying. Where is the woman that should be on your arm with that president? So they can start seeing black families. God bless Pastor Leon Benjamin, because he is the only black African American in the United States of America that I've seen with the president, with his wife and children, shown on television. What about the American descendants of slaves that need to be shown more relevantly in this country? The ADOS, the American descendants of slaves, the American descendants of slaves. We need to see more DOS people, American descendants of slaves. Now here's a twister for all you black people. Do you realize there are white people who are descendants of slaves? No one's talking about the white people, the black people who passed. I call them the past people. Like I had dinner with Yvette Cornell, who was in Cali. She was here about 3 weeks ago. And I said, you could pass. Girl, I can't pass with all these noses and blah, blah, blah. Yvette could pass. Trust me, she's an intellect. She's smart. She got a good perm on her hair. She slowed down on some of her antics. She could have passed if she was at that era. And we can't criticize the blacks. Excuse me for the phone. We can't criticize the blacks who passed. You know why? If you're treated worse than a dog, and you got an opportunity to live a better life, and you love your people, you too might have thought of passing yourself. As you know, I could not pass, but there were other people who could pass. Well, those people who are children who could pass married white people and had children by a white man, and those children married another white person. Therefore, and so forth and so on, there are many whites who are in America who don't realize that they are a descendant of slaves. So as many of us are fighting for the DOS to be more pronounced and talked about in our community, do not be shocked when white people pop up and y'all start to get mad. When the man can prove in his geological trace that he also is a descendant of slave. So let me give you some things to do some food for thought and look up. I need you to go on, get your pen and paper, write this down. I need you to go to Ancestry.com on YouTube, not the website. Go to YouTube and look up railroad ties. Pam, type that in, Ancestry.com. No, Pam, look up Ancestry.com on YouTube. Take the link of the URL, and if you could post that in the link as the thread goes by, y'all watch that 20-minute video. And it would talk about the blacks who were the Underground Railroad out of Brooklyn and the DOS. And there's some white DOSs that they talk about, that they prove, because the DOS is not done by it's not done by DNA, it's done by genealogy. It's done by tracing your history of the genealogy. And a lot of it has to do with census bureaus that were put out there, birth certificates, records in the newspaper. I'm not on my computer. Okay. I appreciate it. When you guys have a chance, go to Ancestry.com YouTube and then go in there and look up railroad ties and watch that. And then next time we talk, hopefully you'll be able to see about what those white people are talking about. When we talk about money and restitution, go on and look up Rich Dad Poor Dad and play the game online. Rich Dad Poor Dad Classic. You start to practice how to manage your money, how you can lose money, and how you're not investing. You're not learning how to make money while you're sleeping. If you don't learn how to make money while you're sleeping, you're going to fail. Lena Horne would be white that passed. Yeah, Lena Horne might be considered that. I agree with that, Michael. If she wanted to pass as white, she never denied being black, but there are many blacks who were, when you pass as white, that means you don't say you're black at all. You just say, I'm not black. You know, Carol Channing, that's an old actress way back in the day, who just actually died last year. She's considered someone who was the last living person, I would say, that was an entertainer that was living today that said that she was white. And later on, she admitted that her father was black. So she was not white. She was half black and she was white. But Carol Channing was a white woman. Now, you look up Carol Channing. She was the last living entertainer who just died last year, who was the one I would say that passed. And she might have, I would even rectify and say, bold enough to say she was a descendant of slaves that passed. So a lot of people talk about the ADS, the American descendants of slaves. We need more discussion on the ADS of the descendants of slaves. And we have to clarify that, because there's too many people who say, well, I'm a slave and Chinese were a slave. Everybody no. We're going back to 1819 when those slaves came here. We're talking about the 1619, the 1619, the 400 years of where we are today. That's the slave that we're talking about. French says, I enjoy playing Rich Dad, Poor Dad with you. Thank you. I do. Remember the time we were on the air and we played that game. That helped you realize that you needed cash while you're sleeping. So if you just have one flow of revenue coming in, you don't have enough money coming in. You've got to figure out how to form different ways of revenues. That game will help you give a different perspective. Go to Rich Dad, listen to me, download the game. You sign up and you can just go live anytime when you can't sleep at night. Go to Rich Dad Poor Dad and make sure that you sign up on that game. Michael says 16. That's correct. The War Dutchman brought 20 African Americans. I'm saying all these different numbers is late. 20 African Americans on a ship as commodity of trades and goods and service. Look, white people could not build America by themselves. They had to bring Africans. America was built on cross-pollination. Write that down. America was built on a cross-pollination format. So when we talk about blacks and whites, it's the white people that need to save black people, because we are your cousins and we are your brothers and your sisters. Not no other countrymen, because when we came here, and the French and the Italian and all those who came to this country, the blacks were part of that. That's why when you get your DNA done, now we're talking about DNA, you'll find different cultures in your DNA. So my DNA was done. I had Irish in me. I had British. I had English. But I had 90%, 90.3% African in me. Yeah, I'm one of them, almost 100% Negro. Can you believe that? I believe my father's side was pure African Americans. But those same people, I can trace that line back to 1854. So I can trace my ancestries back to when my blacks were slaves in this country. We didn't come here as immigrants or illegal immigrants. They came here as commodity, trades, goods, and service. So many of them lost their language. They don't know their language. They didn't know their tribes. All that was lost. And because of DNA today, we're able to kind of decipher. God knew this. And so that, thank God, we have DNA samples that allow us to break down our DNA to certain degree for those who believe in DNA. But the genealogy cannot lie, because there's papers of tracking that was done, that many records that are still being found. Look up online, write this down. The children of the American Revolution, the daughters of the American Revolution, can trace back to 1776. They can trace back to their fathers of the Revolutionary War. Many people can do that. There are blacks who can trace back to the Revolutionary War. African Americans, we should trace back at least before the emancipation. Because if you could trace back at least before they had the emancipation, that you come from a tribe of indigenous slave tribe, then you too can also be a American descendant of slave. If you came after that and you didn't come as a slave, then you came as a foreigner or an immigrant. You may be from Trinidad, you might be from Jamaica, like Camilla Wannabe Black Harris, but you're not a descendant of slaves. And that is why Lincoln rectified by saying citizenship, because we were not human. We was looked at as commodity, trades, and goods. We weren't considered humanized people. Shirley, I'm totally in agreement with you. Jamestown, Virginia was when the colonists exactly enslaved the blacks. That was in Monroe, Virginia, where we will be celebrating 400 years, Michael. Absolutely. And basically, people have to understand, if we're going to leverage, going back to who was I having a debate with earlier? Not Michael. Oh, I think it was either it was Rocket Man or Republican Reprise. If we're going to talk about the leveraging, black people don't have that leverage. That's why you hear. That's why what you always hear Yvette Cornell talking about, it's going to take the government. I think it's going to take the American people for us to wake up and take ours back and enforce the government to impose the laws in the right manner. But until we do that, we are not going to get the benefits of it. Other people are getting the benefits and we are not. Thank you so much for posting Urban Game Changers. Please go visit there, make a donation. Your donations are truly appreciated. We got a lot of things coming up. I will be at I will be at CPAC, which will be in National Harbor the end of this month. So if you want to meet me and you're at CPAC, keep following me. I will be working with Deontay Johnson and others who are out there. We will be talking and discussing what's going on within the black community. You know, I'm going to be coming hard for that typhus situation and black folks being frozen on the streets. I'm going to be coming hard for the mentally ill issues and the jobs and the lackluster, and of course me talking, like I keep continuing to say, the leveraging that are gone against the African American people. If we don't talk about that, we fail. So I'll be at CPAC. Thank you, Pam, at the National Harbor. If you want to learn more about it, go to cpac.com, and if you want to sign up, if you'd like to attend, registration is $300. I have a special ticket and coupon that's next to nothing. If you want to attend as an African American people, I have a special coupon if you'd like to attend. Please DM me on Facebook, because I respond to that than the YouTube one. And we can talk about getting you to be able to get into that as the Urban Game Changers and Shirley's World followers. I appreciate that. Camilla Harris, everyone continues to talk about the Jamaican father and her mother being Indian. She is pro-immigrant, yes, that's correct, and she is not supporting the children of the descendant of slaves, because she believes that her people and everybody else should have the same rights as us. These people are leveraging after your pain, pandering after black pain, pandering at the fact that black people have suffered, and they always say, well, me too. The gays are like us, and the whites are like us. The white women, they're minorities. And, you know, me and Phil tell you, we don't like the word minority, diversity, all these things are divisive. They don't allow us to have our own identity. Where other people have their own identity, we as African Americans can't do that. Because if we have our own identity, that would empower us. But instead, let us be pandered after, so there's an inclusiveness that puts us on the chopping block, so that by the time we get part of that inclusiveness, it'll be 100% of the pie and we'll get less than 1.1% of that. So we need to clarify, we want our own pie. We ain't sharing, no whipped cream and no extra chocolate for you. It all stays in our own pot. Shirley, I want your number to share. I appreciate that. All you got to do is DM me on issues like that. The veterans in this country are sad. As you can see, many of them are homeless and they're not being taken care of. President Trump did talk about new laws and legislation to help with the veterans. Many of the Democrats didn't even stand up. All they're sitting in white like some Klansmen, know that they created the Klan party and supported socialism. So it doesn't help. Is that the right link? richdadworld.com. Maybe it is. Okay. I always said Rich Dad Poor Dad. But if that's it, then that's the link to go to, and make sure that you're there and you learn about leverage with money so that you have more one than one cash flow. Make sure you guys do that. And meetup.com. I always tell you, if you want to advance your mind and you want to find kindred spirits of something that you like to do, you like to paint, you like to read, you like to speak, you like to do technology, you like to code, go to meetup.com and type in things that you like to do, things that are fun for you. And then you will find out people who are doing it who are making money from it. Don't marginalize your actions and your opportunity. They're all in front of you. All you need to do is rectify them by zoning in, zoning in. Don't be distracted by all this other bullcrap shows that talk about, well, you know, the Democrats. Forget the Democrats. Focus on your bottom line. I told you we're in some strange times, so you need to be commoditizing. You need to be finding ways to better a life. If you've got to move, move. If you can't move, then start putting money in areas of other state where you might want to buy some rental property, rent it out, and then you find out that you're retiring, your pension's almost done, and you can move. Get the tenant out and move into the house you've always wanted to live in. But in the meantime, you could go buy some property. You could do some type of investment. You can do a lot of things that you'd be surprised. You can do online sales. Look at advance yourself and advance your mind. ADOS should be a nationalized institution and globalized. Immigrants have a home country in which they leverage resources. Well, they're leveraging resources back French. So you have Mexicans in California, El Salvadorians, Guatemalans, who would tell you, I'm sending money back to my people. They need help, and America to help this country, and America need to help. No, America don't need to help nobody. You need to go back and start a revolution, start a war, start whatever you have to do, and work with the resources in your country and fix them. But what they do is they don't assimilate, they don't associate. They come here and they do a bad version of that. So understand that they're leveraging our resources, our tax dollars, our infrastructure of protection like WIC and Section 8 to help the poor and needy. They are living off of that, and they leverage those opportunities, and they save their sources, and they're mailing them back. They're Western Union them back to their people and not for us. And that's a problem I have. Dr. MLK was around. You know what? Everyone has kind of said a lot about Dr. MLK. I always say, you know how bad MLK is to me right now? Go to the parades. Look at the Martin Luther King parade. I would tell you in California, the Martin Luther King parade don't have no black people. It has illegals and social, progressive, liberal issues that enter the parade and are anti-government, anti-America, and anti-Trump. That is what those parades have now become. A socialist liberal agenda to promote under Dr. King's brand, because his stupid children don't rectify that the father was about the union of black people and he was a Republican for black people. They don't want to talk about that. They have pivoted his legacy into some other kind of show. So yeah, that whole MLK thing has just become one hot mess. There was one conservative Mexican who said that he doesn't think that blacks should get, well, again, what is a Mexican conservative? Somebody tell me. A conservative is just someone that conserves. That doesn't mean that they still have the constitutional rights and understanding of government. That just because a person, even if a person's black conservative, if you don't understand legislation and law, just say to them, well, where does that say in the Constitution? I don't care about your feelings. Tell me based on legislation. Tell me based on the Constitution or an addendum. Tell me on the 13th Amendment. Tell me something, but they can't tell you about amendments. They can't tell you about addendums. They can't tell you about legislation, and they can't allocate anyone, and they can't even say that they oppose ideas that do. So if they can't do that, then you can figure it out. Chris, if you want to talk to me, you have to DM me and tell me what you want to talk about, and we can talk by Facebook or however you want to do it. Because right now I am working out of state, right, about to close this chat room. What else, Victor? If you're in LA as a homeless vet, go to Google Community and go to Veteran Discussion Group and go to my, and there is a special thing called VASH Vouch to pay for rides for veterans in Los Angeles, LA. Well, thank you, Thumbs Up Victor, who's put that out there. It's called the Veterans Discussion Group on Facebook. And it says go to my name, which is BAHREND. Go there to his name and go on the VAS voucher, VASH, like cash, but it's called VAS. So it's like, I guess it's like a veterans cash vouchers to pay for rides for veterans to the hospital in LA County. See, there are some good people out there trying to do good things. Pam, going back to Pam, says that's what he called himself, the Mexican conservative. Okay, whatever that means. A lot of people call themselves a lot of things. I call myself a Negro. They need to get paid. There we go. Sister trying to get paid. That's all I'm trying to do. Have a voice at the table. Try to wake people up. I know. That's all I can do at this point. I am so burnt out of not dealing with the issues of the Republican problems, but the black people who sit back and want a chicken dinner and a photo op and wear that damn hat. Okay, 5 ways you should not wear a hat. One way is don't wear that red damn hat in restaurants. Mexicans in California will spit in your food. Number 1, don't wear the red hat. They'll spit in your food. Number 2, when you come to LA, don't stay downtown LA in these nicer hotels. They're giving vouchers to the homeless people who have fleas on their body. And then you stay in the hotel room downtown LA and them fleas are up and popping in the mattress and they'll pop on your ass. Number 2, don't wear the hat at restaurants for the spit in your food, and don't go into the beds in LA. These are things I do. Number 3, don't eat the foods off of the Mexican women cooking with the onions and the hot dogs rolled up in bacon. They may look good, they may smell good, but you look at them little nail beds. Them little nail beds is nasty. They're all filthy, they're dirty, and there's no ways to wash their hands. And you don't see any, and they got a scratch. You don't know where they're scratching. You don't know what's going on, and that stuff doesn't properly cook. So when you go to LA and you smell them onions and that bacon be trying to lure you in. Shirley said no to drugs, say no to filthiness and a sick stomach, because you will get sick. Okay? And again, the hat, the bed, and the hot dog. Say no to those things. These are things going on in California. Black people need to wake up. When you go to restaurants and they all speak in Spanish and you're the only black in there, be careful talking about conservatism and Trump, because you are outnumbered. You're outnumbered. Now, there's times they just piss me off so much, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to say what I'm going to say and do what I'm going to do, because that's how I am. But I also realize I'm not stupid. I'm not sleeping well. I realize that I am outnumbered, and I disposition myself, and I take the repercussions of what might happen in case of that. But don't get it twisted. Sister's always got something going on, if you know what I mean. But you need to be careful on the front line for whatever you do and believe in, because your people are in trouble in the state. So black people, if you're conservative, you might want to wake up to that. You need to wake up to that. You need to wake up to these little bitty midget cops that are in LAPD and the sheriff department. They don't like you. They're targeting tall black men for their numbers so they can get their certain number regarding mass incarceration. Remember, we still have mass incarceration in privatized prisons. They still... You did have another form of prison reform, which deal with when they get out. The prison reform really doesn't deal with the fact that they're in unjustly enough. It still needs to be more done. And a lot of us talked about being in the black community, and that's only going to be our agenda with this legislation. I think that's sad, because black people talking about black people getting out of jail and unemployment. Opportunities of leveraging of wealth and opportunity. That I want from this administration. I ain't got that yet. Very, very sad for me. Says, I agree with you, Shirley. Girl, okay, don't mess with them hot dogs. They smell good, but no, not me, Jesus. Okay, South LA was over 90% black in the 70s. Today, we are below 30%. No, but we are at 6%. Let me help you out. I live here, born and raised here, eat and breathe it. 6% African Americans in the state of California. There was an article where LA Times saying 9%. 3% of the people are African. And these Cubans who are homeless downstairs, and them Honduras people, them too. The Honduran women are super gross. Oh man, the Hondurans and the Belizean people, and not Belizean, I'm sorry, Salvadorian. They're leveraging those people, giving them stores and markets. Why do we all of a sudden see a growth and a burst of El Salvadorians and Guadalajarans? That's because of Wells Fargo giving them loans for businesses and jobs. So I want the federal government or President Trump to allocate some type of money to rectify for us so we can start owning our own businesses. We don't even have soul food restaurants anymore. We have to fight for soul food restaurants. Why we ain't got no soul food restaurants in LA? Well, I'm gonna tell you why. Because black people aren't opening up businesses because they don't have the money to do it. We are being pushed out and we are being leveraged against. And then if you open it, it may not be enough of us to eat your food. You know, we have not become an institute where we putting black food in everything. We got to put salsa and guacamole on everything. But when we talk about African American and our culture, we don't have that. We have a nice Southern culture. We understand where we're coming from. But unfortunately, we don't see that. ICE needs to deport, mass deportation, and sweep. Well, then, Pam, you need to go to the city council meeting and look this up. The sheriff department said that they are taking ICE police out of their department. They're putting ICE police out, and then they're empowering those ICE police against us. I mean, they're empowering the people of immigrants against the American people and devaluing what ICE police adds to this table. You know, American people, you need to wake up. You need to smell some kind of coffee. It is really sad. Greendale. I'll post it later on. I can't think of the YouTube channel, but I watched the sheriff department show downtown LA people who were officers. The new sheriff said in November or December that he is taking ICE police out of his department. So they're at war. You call ICE police right now, they ain't gonna answer the phone. Somebody call ICE police right now, see if they answer the phone. You're going to get a ring, 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 ring. That's what you're going to get. They don't answer the phone. Oh, ICE, 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 ICE. Don't worry, they ain't going to answer the phone. They get calls all the time. They can't handle the mass. They can't have the mass. There's too many of them. Too many of these people who are illegal and people trying to tell them about them. And the ICE police are either pushed out or they just not enough numbers of them. But as you may not know, it's a shithole state. You got that right, Pam. As many of you may not know, they're saying 15,000 people are on a warpath right now to march past Texas and Arizona, come straight through LA and county, and come in your neighborhoods. They are even digging underneath the ground, and people are saying they're popping up in their living room. These people are digging in holes. I showed you them videos of them digging in holes and coming up underneath the ground. Come on. Michael says California were 6%, but South LA was above 30%. Okay, I agree with you. There were above 30%. They were above 50%. I'm born and raised in LA too, boo. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. But right now, we are at 6%. Right now, we have 90 to 85% black people homeless with mentally ill issues, living in the rain and the cold and the sleet downtown LA, and nationwide freezing on the street right now. Is that not a priority issue? Should have that not been talked about in the State of the Union address, or am I just being too black? Because to me, human preservation is important. To me, when we see a culture of people who are dying in such mass numbers, is important. People that basically built this country, cross-pollinated with the white Europeans in this country, are dying in America. And we're not talking about that, but we'll continue to talk about things to empower the immigrants other than just build a wall. We're talking about, when he said we need more immigrants, no, that's where I disagree with Mr. Trump on that one too. I don't want no more of them immigrants here. I'm not talking about illegal immigrants. I'm talking about immigrants, because immigrants bring chain migrations and visas, expired visas, and an abuse of visas through based of money. If you have certain money, your visas will allow you to move faster through the process. I don't want more of them people. I want the federal government, through all this money that they say they saving because of the tariffs, because of all the rights that's coming back and making America great again. You can take some of that America made it great again money and you can put it back into the hands of opportunity through legislation that we as black people, should be having on the table right now. So that other countries who have leveraged and disabled us from being able to move up. But unless we speak about that, boo-boo, we ain't gonna have that. Michael says, I agree, the homeless, geographically overwhelming. The American descendants of slaves are angry. Okay, are angry to me. Okay, I understand that. They really upset me as well. It's not ugly. It's really, really ugly. Please visit Urban Game Changers. Thank you, Pam, for bringing that up. A commercial real quick. Please like this video and share. Put the thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe, because I try to provide you street information, being current in the community, being an activist in Los Angeles. You're following Shirley Husar. My name is Shirley Husar. I've been an activist mostly all my life. I've been a Republican conservative for Trump, but I was a Republican before these Trumpicans, and I didn't walk away. I've always been a Republican, and I didn't take no red pill, because I am the pill, baby. So, when I hear all this stuff, you should walk away from what? I've always been a Republican, so I'm not joining a walk away group. Okay, I'm not a lesbian. I'm strictly dickly, so I'm not part of that group. I'm not part of the Candace on things. I'm old enough to be her mama. I don't want to be part of that little group either. I'm not a Caribbean girl. I am a descendant of slave. I am an American descendant of slave. So I'm going to give you some hard school facts of reality of the African Americans in this country from an urban perspective of jobs and opportunity that we are being pushed out of because of immigration. And that's why I constantly harp upon immigration and illegal immigration, because immigration have taken advantage of our rights there. Those need to be rewritten. Asylum, those laws that they come over here, I claim asylum, I'm being abused in my country. Those laws need to be rewritten. There are many laws that have been given to immigrants and illegals that are being abused, and they need to be rewritten. I'm sorry, but they do, including the Asian community as an immigrants. They really have taken advantage of buying all this land, and then they don't want to rent to black people. They rent to their own people, therefore, AKA black people homeless downtown LA. Elderly senior black people can't even take the money from their senior citizen check because they can't afford the cost of living. But an illegal immigrant know how to live in mass stages. That's why I told you they have 2 people in the living room, 2 people in the kitchen, 2 people in the dining room. They sell by the rooms and the spaces in the room. So a 1-bedroom place, which you normally would say maybe 1 or 2 people could reside in, might have 6 or 7 people in a 1-bedroom apartment or house in California. That's how a disgusting infrastructure of living has disrupted what these cultures of people coming in here. They're like pack rats. They do high density living, which is not normal for us. We don't live in that way. But California wants to enforce more of that living, and it's abusive to law, absolutely, and it's abusive to the way we live because the sanitation level doesn't support it. Listen to me, the sanitation level doesn't support it. You don't take a 1-bedroom house and put a toilet that's supposed to be having 20 or 30 people use in a day in a house, because you got friends, family, and the people who live there. And so it gets plugged up. So landlords are saying, my toilet's backed up. Well, you have too many people living in that type of environment. It wasn't designed for that. And because of that, therefore, you have a mass incarceration of a land mass that cannot support a country. And that's the problem in California. Immigrants whip out my whole hood. Oh, yeah, they did. They came into black communities, and they did the cocktail bottle thing, and they pushed them out. The Chinese came in white buses and black colored windows. And they knocked on the black communities in LA, and they told them, I'll pay you cash, get out, get out. They're bold like that, and that don't make the news, but I'm telling you how God's getting these people. That's why you got a new form of plague that's growing. If I can't get a coalition on YouTube of how to heckle, how can I help Skid Row? I am a black, a descendant of slave, female, conservative, Republican, practicing invisible in the real world. Well, sister, God bless you. Many of us have been out here doing the same thing, and social media is going to stifle us. Social media is going to make sure our sound's not right, our numbers are low, because they don't want our voice to be heard. We have to circumvent them and push the people who do have the numbers, like Phil, and get it out there. And we have to start listening to each other. We have to communicate. We have to put aside our differences and fight for a better cause. But you have to realize the pollination of the African American and the white people in this country need to have some type of reconciliation. Those cross-pollination people need to identify. Many of them are black people. White people are black people. and that they have to come back to identify that they are the leaders and the runners of this country, and they need to recognize the blacks who contributed and start saving their own. That's why when I say to white people, you need to come help us black people. Well, I don't have to help you black people, but you don't know you might be a descendant of slave and you don't even recognize it, because many of those white people had ancestors who passed. So there's a reconciliation that we need to have in our conversation with our white brothers and sisters. And I say the white because we go back to the 1819 who are descendants of slaves. I can't go back to that with someone who's of Trinidad or Jamaican or Mexican or Chinese or Armenian or all those other countries. They don't have the longevity of the years here. And I think those who watch me have to agree with me on that. Certainly immigrants living with black slaves, many of them, they do hate us. They're jealous of us, or because of how their family members have treated us, and we've allowed it. They think they can treat us the same way. Little 5'4" little person thinking they're all that, up there playing, watching football. I said, you will never play football, boo-boo. Never will. White people and black people play football. You know why? Because that cultural pollination has the height and the body type. We were bred. You weren't. Never will happen. They will never cross us with them, and they think they're going to get as big as us. Our gene will push them out. It's just the way God made us. It's part of our body frame. America is for sale. White people should be nationalists too. I don't agree with that. I don't believe that America is for sale, and I believe that there are good people who are praying in this country. I pray for the President of the States. I pray for the followers on my YouTube, and I pray for the African American, the descendants of slaves will wake up and we will have a better form of action of communication, not just a form of communicating online to each other. We need to have a form of action. I created Urban Game Changers so that we can do that. I would hope that if you decide to go to CPAC and you DM me on Facebook and send me your email and would say, I like to go to CPAC, let me know and we can have these discussions. Because by having discussions like these to clarify our reasoning of who we are and what we contribute to gives us a better platform to communicate to other people. I am a descendant of slaves based on the fact of 1619, going back to before the Revolutionary War. We help in making America. Remember, the Daughters of the Revolution go back to 1776. We go back before then. We go back before the revolution. 1619. Do the math. Value your worth. Understand the blood of the ground on which you walk upon and the people who laid upon it and created it. We go before 1776. And if that's the case, you can't tell me about, well, we have to have Asian holiday. Why? They don't go back to 1619. They didn't build this country. They didn't go back before the American Revolution. Now, if you go back before the American Revolution, I'm going to give you some props. But there's English people, there's French people, Italian people, some of them, not all of them, but the colonists who created America with blacks go back to, if that's over 400 years, going back to 1619, why would you want to impose the rights and easily give them away and talk about nationalism and American giving away, but yet there's no action or recourse or discussions, and we have stupid people like Roland Martin, his educational genre of black history to you. He'll regurgitate that over to you and the different levels and degrees to you, but yet he won't go back that far and at least say black people are descendants of slaves and we do need to stand united. But no, he wants to put us in the inclusiveness box. Well, him and himself cuckoo for Cocoa Pops, and we don't really need to do that. Shirley, are you familiar with the history of Bruce Beach? It was the thriving black owner of the beach resorts in Honey Beach, California. In 1994, Bruce Beach was condemned by white city officials. No, I didn't know about him. That's so sad. There are many African Americans who contribute in business who were pushed out or not remembered. Those are the ones that we need to talk about. We talk about Black History Month. We talk about Sojourner Truth and Tubman and Frederick Douglass, D.D. Du Bois, all these other ones, as I said the name crazy. Great. But people like that, it would be nice to hear about Bruce Beach. Thank you for sharing his story. More stories that we hear, African Americans who grew the innovation aspect of business and opportunities that blacks had, like Wall Street, the black owners who were families at that time. Those discussions not only need to be on the table with us, it needs to be on the table with white people and letting them know that it was and that we did have value and we were a people that added value. Shirley, did you hear about the video that Sharik did? PBT and TBA did on Black Agenda. It was empowering. I saw some of his earlier color videos. I thought they were empowering. His videos are very good. We own stores, clubs, and homes. Absolutely. Okay, last thing. Get your pen and paper. Write this down. NBHOOD, National Association of Black Homeowners and Operators and Developers. These are African American people who own hotels in 2019. Yes, brothers and sisters, we do own things today, and we are taking back that resources. As you know, you go to nice hotels like Days Inn and the Indians and the people from India. We help you out, do that, what the hell did they say? What the hell, man? Yeah, those people who keep owning all these hotels, we need to take them back. Take them back, doggone it, and be black people. Have some Wakanda in these doggone hotels. Okay, I'll stop. But anyway, yeah, so go to National Association of Hotel Owners, Operators, and Developers. Write that down. Follow that organization. Get engaged and learn about owning a hotel. You could own a hotel. You could change a community. Think about, what if I owned a hotel? What if I owned an apartment complex? What if you were a single person and you found a triplex or duplex? Duplex is 2 units, triplex is 3 units. You're one of the 3 and the other 2 are paying for you to live in the 3, and the 1 of the 3. Yeah, you can own that and you can live in that. Start thinking of other lines of revenues. That could be one line. Online sales could be in one line. You having 2 jobs could be 2 more lines. Next thing you look up, you got all these lines coming in. Now, what I'm going to do with all that money? You're going to pay off your house. Write this down. Mortgage Free on Netflix. I love that series. These are people who have found a way to have no mortgage. That's right, no mortgage. Write down this one. Off the grid. There are people who are getting their house built and they're living off the grid. They have this couple, white couple. They bought a yurk. Y-U-R-T or Y-U-R-K. I don't know if I spelled it right. It's like a tent house, but very well insulated, and they've had these homes for decades. They end up buying it and building it for under $50,000 and are mortgage and they're off the grid, meaning that ain't nobody really off the grid when they have solar panels that provide heating and electricity, and they're not depending upon the system. You need to think differently. Write this down. I'm not thinking differently. I need to transpose my mind into another better thought. I need to get away from losers. Write that down. Fuck losers out of my life. Don't go good fuck. But anyway, no, don't do that. Okay, I'm gonna pass on that thought. But you know what I mean? Like get away from them. Get away from the people who don't add value in your life. You distracted in your time and your energy. So get away from those people. Get away from them because they're not helping you to the next level. Level comes from self-preservation and understanding where God wants for you and where you want to go. Because if you know where you want to go, looks, it's not about your money, it's not about who you hang around, it's about you obtaining each level that you set. Okay, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. You sit down, you get your little book like I do right here, and I write my stuff down. I write it down. Take my notes, say, okay, I didn't do that. Sometimes you got to talk to yourself, you get the best answers. I get in trouble with that in the house. Oh, who are you talking to? Me, myself, and I. We come up with a good answer. What you want? What you want? So sometimes you need to figure out by talking to yourself strategies that you said you were going to do last month that you did not do this month or tomorrow. Because each little step that you do, you get your pen, your handy dandy pen, your handy dandy notebook, and you write it down and you scratch what you have said. I got that done. I got that done. But you ain't get none of that done, boo-boo, because you ain't that. You too distracted on hating Trump. You too distracted on the bull crap. You too distracted on determining if Kamala Harris is black or not. I don't care. It don't pay my bills. She sleep with a white man. Oh, I don't care. Don't pay my bills. It don't take me to the next level. Stop hanging around these people that don't do nothing for you. I'm a black conservative. Okay, so Tristan, I'm a black conservative from Northern California, and I have to hide to survive. Well, we do all have to hide. I don't know if I hide. I think people see me on social media. I say my name. I think I just am who I am. I own it. I own it. If people say you support Trump, I don't say it really quietly. Yeah, I support Trump. Get all these damn illegals out. I'm going to call ICE police right now. They back the fuck up. See, when you own who you are and what you are, trust me, they will give you reference to say, I'm going to leave that black woman alone. So I don't think anyone should hide. Be who you are. If you're illegal and you're proud, be illegal and proud. You're getting free goods for nothing. It's a TikTok for your ass. I'm going to tell you now, if you illegal walk to me, let me help you out, boo-boo. TikTok, that means that your time is going to come up and you ain't going to get all these free goods. But why are you getting the free goods? What the hell? I'll be doing the same thing. Get the free goods, send them back to my country because you know these white people going to eventually wake up. Not black people, white people, because they run the country. But in the meantime, as long as they allow you to beat, rape, and take all the goods from this country, you're going to do what you do. Just like what I'm going to do and fight against you and speak against you and ask them to build that wall to stop going on. But to hide means to only live in fear. And God says he's not giving us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. A sound-minded person does not operate in fear. A sound-minded person learns to own and operate for who and what they are. But if you're not sound-minded, you're distracted. Don't be that way. If you're a black conservative, I'm a conservative. What? Why would you be like that? Simplify it for them. Well, if you're liberal, why don't you leave your wallet open on the table? If you're liberal, leave your house unlocked. Leave the keys on your dash and your car open. Why don't you do that? Just leave everything open. Just leave it. Take your bra and let your titties hang out. Just whatever the hell you're going to do, bitch, just do it. Then all of a sudden they look at you like you're cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. I said, because if you don't do that, that means you have some form of conservatism. Listen to me. Share, put the likes up. I appreciate you staying on here with me. I know it's late. I'm going to end this video, but I want you to understand that being a conservative doesn't make you evil. Being conservative doesn't to marginalize you in life. Being conservative doesn't mean you have to hide. Okay. Real Spill said, don't hide. Get you a descendant of slave and make it known, I am a descendant of slave. I tell them now, all right, let me tell you, my people have been here since 1854. I've been able to trace back that far, so far. One day I'm going to go back further. So I know that I'm at least past the emancipation, right? I'm before the time where slaves were freed. To me, I can justify that my father's father's father was a slave. I can go back that far. So when people start talking crazy to me, I said, I don't know where you come from, but that's how far I can trace. How far can you trace? Oh, wow. They're shocked when you're a Negro that know who you are. Because they've been doing so far, so good. Just like when you hear about the Egyptians trying to erase the female pharaoh, they trying to erase the black Negro's history. So let's get this straight. I must go. Battery needs to be charged. God bless my brothers and sisters. Thank you, Vic, for following. Good night. I thank you for loving me. Pam got thumbs up. I appreciate that. Intellectual brother. I appreciate Afro Synergy and also Urban Game Changers, Arkansas. If you haven't followed Afro Synergy News, just got off the road. He's tired. We haven't had a chance to talk. I will be at CPAC, brother. I got a ticket for you to go. All the Urban Game Changers executive directors get into CPAC next to nothing. So if you're interested in going to CPAC, please DM me. You have my phone number. You can call me. Greetings from Pam. So anyway, sorry, y'all. It has already been an hour and 42 minutes. And the time for a sister to lay her head, because I do have a conference tomorrow. I am in Dallas, Texas. So if you're in Dallas, Texas, and you want to reach out to me, I'd love to meet up with you if I can. I have some breaks in between. I am going back and forth to California, but I want to leave you on this note. For every action is a reaction. For the non-action that you do in your life, you are going to get an aftermath. Somebody is thinking for you. You don't think for yourself. Someone else has planned your life out. So if you want to disrupt the plan of action for someone to do in your life that you're not doing for yourself, you need to stop, think, meditate, and execute. Stop, think, pray, execute, meditate. These are the things that you need to do. And I promised you, and I don't promise too much, but I promise you, if you do any of those things, something will alter and change in your life, and you'll be greater for it. You'll be greater for it. Don't let the negativity pull you down. Say good words of affirmation. Don't always cry. I was crying yesterday because of all the homeless people and the rats that are eating us down up. Hey T, I was talking about the typhus. Please start talking about the typhus on your show. I've watched some of your shows lately. I don't know if you've been talking about the typhus. Just drove through Dallas a few hours ago. That's funny. I told you stop. Let's have dinner. But yeah, just to let you know, I've been talking about typhus. There's a movement of typhus of black people who are being ate up by the fleas downtown LA. We were downtown LA, and I was telling them how it's horrible to stay in some of those hotels. We had an Urban Game Changers event, and me and T and Phil, we were all in executive suites, and I made sure that all of our executives had a wonderful time, which he did, and they talked about when we were at Politicon. We all plan on doing some more things this year, but right now CPAC is coming up, and we will be live streaming videos talking about that. You change the course of your life when you make a decision to better your life. When you do that, that's all that matters. Just like they say on the airplane, when I get on it and fly back and forth, put the oxygen mask on yourself, what? First. Then you can help somebody else. I can't help nobody right now. There's some things that I'm doing. I have to put the oxygen mask on myself first, especially with going on in California. I have to prepare for whatever's going to happen. There's other opportunities for me somewhere else. Put the oxygen mask on yourself, my brothers and sisters, black, white, whatever ethnic background you are, whatever ideology you belong, what beliefs you are. As a believer in Christ Jesus and as a Christian, I pray that you come to know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. I pray that you come to have a discernment of God's Spirit in you, because a spirit of discernment to understand your worth and your wealth will help you understand what you can deal with the next day. Some days you might be in pain, you may be confused, you may be hurt, you may feel vilified. Don't live in that energy long. We have the right to live in that energy. We have the right to be angry. Absolutely. Don't let them, you're a mad black woman. What the fuck? Hell yeah, nigga, I'm mad. But I control my anger because I know that there's a greater purpose for me in explaining my anger and expressing it in a way that gives people understand the cross-pollination of white and black people in this country and how we have become where we're at. You have to make a decision on that energy level you decide to live in. This level or that level. Because if you're in the right level, in the right zone, bing, it'll pop you up to the next one. And then the other people around you, get away from the haters. I told you, they don't add value. The value you add starts from you. The oxygen mask starts with you. Then the next day, we can deal with something else. Then the next day, you can deal with something else. Because the next thing you look up, whatever was that before in the past, is no longer there. It ain't no longer there. It gets you to wherever you got to be. God bless you. Thank you so much. In the name of Jesus, I ask God to bless you financially, mentally, and spiritually. Please pray for me. Please make your donations. We got new things coming out with Urban Game Changers. It takes time. It takes money, but it takes fortitude by people who support. This is Shirley's World. Like, share, thumbs up, and subscribe. And go and join Urban Game Changers. Thank you, Pam. Thank you for the donations who've come in and on Facebook and on Game Changers. And make sure that you join our family because our family is your family. And much love to many of you. Thank you, Miss Republican. And thank you so much, Pam, and all the people who've popped in. Michael, I love Mr. Michael Cooper. Victor, who's off now. Real Spill. French, who came in. Deborah B. I appreciate that. You had a lot. Pam for monitoring. That's my girl. She come in. She rectifies. She talks. I love her. I love her. Even if it's late, I know she's like, damn, why you come on so late? It just hits me. And I pray for our president, Will. Thank you so much for your input. Will came in and he gave some really good input. I appreciate that. And Rocket Man, I appreciate you. What's up, Trish? Hello. I appreciate you. Chris came in. I appreciate all you guys because you add value. You bring conversation. You have differences. You may agree or disagree. And I'm not here to beat you up. I'm here to give you my opinion. If you agree or disagree, we still have to have conversations because if we don't talk, then we can't move to the next level. If we don't talk, then we don't have an understanding of where we're coming from. Because as a descendant of slaves, the value, the blood, and the contribution needs to be rectified and brought back to the table. Thank you. Good night and peace.